In the subtle dance of human connection, presence is often misunderstood. Many believe presence is simply being physically near someone, sitting in the same room, or participating in the same events. Yet true presence is far more profound. It is an inner quality that radiates outward. It is the quiet force that draws people not because of what you say or do, but because of who you are when you stand fully within yourself. Presence is power because it is the manifestation of being fully awake to life, fully attentive to the moment, and fully engaged with your own energy. When a woman cultivates presence, she commands attention effortlessly. She does not need to speak loudly, compete for validation, or seek approval. She moves with a calm certainty, a groundedness that communicates value without words. This kind of presence is magnetic, not because it manipulates, but because it is authentic. People sense it instinctively. Men, in particular, are drawn to women who carry themselves with this steady awareness because it mirrors a sense of stability they may unconsciously seek. Presence is not about controlling another's attention, it is about aligning one's own energy so that attention naturally follows. True presence begins with self-awareness. It is the ability to notice not only the external environment, but also one's internal state. When a woman is aware of her thoughts, feelings, and reactions, she cultivates a calm clarity. She becomes someone who responds rather than reacts, who observes rather than judges, and who engages rather than clings. This clarity is felt by others as a subtle authority, a quiet confidence that cannot be faked. Presence is power because it is rooted in inner alignment, a harmony between mind, body, and spirit that resonates outward in every interaction. In the absence of presence, energy is scattered and interactions are shallow. A woman who is distracted, anxious, or preoccupied sends signals of uncertainty and neediness. Others sense this fragmentation even subconsciously. Presence counteracts this. It centers energy, bringing focus and intention to every moment. When a woman is fully present, she listens deeply, notices the unspoken, and responds with authenticity. She does not overcompensate with words or gestures because her energy communicates everything before she even speaks. Presence, therefore, is a form of silent communication, a language that requires no translation but is universally understood. Presence also carries a dimension of respect for oneself and for others. When a woman shows up fully, she honors her own time, attention, and energy. She does not allow herself to be scattered by trivial distractions or driven by the need to impress. This self-respect sets a tone for how others are invited to interact with her. Men notice this instinctively. They are drawn to the strength inherent in someone who knows their own worth, someone who does not compromise their presence for external approval. Presence becomes a boundary without force, a natural authority that protects energy while inviting connection. Moreover, presence is cultivated through the mastery of stillness. In a world that prizes constant activity and noise, being fully present is a radical act. It requires slowing down, paying attention, and resisting the urge to fill every silence with chatter or performative gestures. A woman who masters stillness commands a different kind of power, one that is deeply magnetic and transformative. Men are drawn not to the superficial energy of excitement alone, but to the grounded energy of someone who is fully anchored in themselves. Presence transforms interactions from fleeting encounters into meaningful exchanges. Presence is also felt in the subtleties of body language, tone, and gaze. It is in the way a woman carries herself, how she occupies space, and how she meets another's eyes without desperation or tension. These subtle signals communicate a deep sense of self-possession that words alone cannot convey. Presence is power because it communicates a completeness, a wholeness that cannot be achieved through external validation. It is an energy that is self-sustaining and self-reinforcing, creating a ripple effect in every interaction, leaving a lasting impression without effort or intention. Finally, presence is a practice rather than a state. It requires constant attention, reflection, and discipline. It is the cultivation of mindfulness in thought, action, and emotion. It is the commitment to show up fully in every moment, regardless of circumstances. A woman who embodies presence moves through life with a quiet authority, radiating a power that is unseen yet undeniable. It is the invisible magnetism that shapes relationships, influences dynamics, and commands respect. Presence is the essence of influence, the foundation of attraction, and the source of inner strength. Boundaries are often misunderstood in human relationships. They are not walls meant to shut others out, nor are they rigid rules intended to control or punish. True boundaries are the quiet declarations of self-worth, the invisible lines that communicate to the world how one expects to be treated. They are a reflection of inner clarity and self-respect, and in their presence, relationships shift from negotiation and confusion to mutual understanding and admiration. A woman who honors her boundaries teaches others to honor her. She establishes a framework where respect is not requested, but naturally given. Many people underestimate the power of boundaries because they confuse them with resistance or defensiveness. Setting a boundary is not about creating friction. It is about defining the parameters of one's energy and attention. When a woman knows her limits and communicates them with calm clarity, she is no longer susceptible to the depletion that comes from accommodating every expectation, demand, or emotional need placed upon her. Boundaries are a declaration that her energy is precious, her time is valuable, and her inner world is sacred. This declaration carries a subtle authority that men intuitively recognize. They feel the difference between a woman who bends endlessly to accommodate and one who navigates life with clear principles. Boundaries also cultivate trust. When a woman consistently honors herself, she becomes predictable in her self-respect, and this predictability fosters safety. Men, often navigating their own uncertainties, are instinctively drawn to someone whose presence is steady, whose rules are consistent, and whose expectations are clear. Respect is not a matter of persuasion or force, it is a natural response to integrity. A woman who sets boundaries teaches those around her the value of integrity, showing through action that she will not compromise her well-being for temporary approval. The clarity of this stance eliminates confusion, frustration, and power struggles, creating a space where genuine connection can flourish. Boundaries are also a form of communication. They speak without words, yet their message is unmistakable. The way a woman responds to interruptions, requests, or invasions of her time communicates volumes about her sense of self. Every no, spoken with calm authority, every space maintained with quiet conviction reinforces her value. Men notice this because it reflects a strength that cannot be achieved through charm, manipulation, or performance. Boundaries are not defensive, they are declarative. They are an assertion of presence, a reinforcement of self, and a beacon of respect. Furthermore, boundaries require self-awareness. One cannot set effective boundaries without understanding what one values, what one tolerates, and what one will not compromise. This awareness is cultivated through reflection, observation, and honesty with oneself. A woman who engages in this inner work develops clarity that permeates her actions, decisions, and relationships. She no longer reacts impulsively to demands or pressure, but responds with intention. This intentionality signals power, and men instinctively respond to power. Boundaries transform from mere rules into an expression of self, knowledge, and emotional sovereignty, creating a magnetic aura of authenticity. Boundaries also serve as a mirror for others. They reveal character and intention, showing who is willing to respect and who is not. In this way, boundaries act as a filter, naturally distancing those who bring confusion, disrespect, or instability. A woman who honors her limits does not waste energy negotiating with those unwilling to meet her standards. She conserves her energy for those who are aligned with her values, creating relationships based on mutual respect rather than compromise or coercion. This discernment communicates wisdom, strength, and self-possession, qualities that men inherently value because they signal reliability and depth. Another essential aspect of boundaries is that they are flexible yet firm. They are not rigid walls, but living frameworks that protect while allowing growth. A woman who adapts her boundaries thoughtfully demonstrates emotional intelligence, showing that respect does not mean rigidity, but conscious choice. She navigates relationships with discernment, recognizing when compromise serves her values and when it undermines them. This balance of firmness and fluidity is a subtle form of power, a rhythm that creates trust, admiration, and attraction. Men are drawn to this balance because it signals a partner who is principled yet adaptable, strong yet approachable, self-assured yet compassionate. Finally, boundaries cultivate a deep sense of self-worth. A woman who consistently honors her needs, her time, and her emotional landscape develops an unshakable confidence that radiates outward. This confidence is magnetic, not because it demands attention, but because it reflects integrity, clarity, and alignment. Men, consciously or unconsciously, respond to this alignment because it signals a relationship with someone who is whole, stable, and aware. Boundaries define respect because they establish a framework where value is inherent, interactions are intentional, and connection is authentic. Emotional independence is a quiet power, often invisible to those who mistake intensity for intimacy. Many believe that closeness requires dependence, that connection grows through need or reliance. Yet true attraction flows from the opposite, from a woman who knows how to inhabit her own emotional world fully, who can feel deeply without seeking constant validation, and who can engage with others without surrendering herself. Emotional independence is not detachment. It is the ability to exist fully within one's own inner landscape while remaining open to connection. A woman who embodies emotional independence is magnetic because she operates from wholeness, not from absence. She does not look to others to fill voids, soothe insecurities, or complete her identity. Instead, she carries a fullness that is perceptible in every interaction. Her energy is stable, her presence consistent, and her response is measured. Men are drawn to this because it signals strength without defensiveness, confidence without arrogance, and availability without desperation. Emotional independence creates a space in which attraction can flourish naturally without the distortion of need or the tension of insecurity. This kind of independence requires self-awareness. A woman must learn to observe her emotions without being overwhelmed by them. She must understand the difference between feeling and reacting, between expressing and performing. Emotional independence is cultivated through reflection, mindfulness, and disciplined awareness of one's own inner state. When a woman masters this, she can navigate her own feelings without projecting them onto others. She becomes someone who can love, support, and connect, but never at the expense of her own emotional stability. This mastery is both rare and magnetic because it signals an inner maturity that few possess. Emotional independence also protects energy. A woman who is tethered to the fluctuations of another's mood or approval becomes vulnerable to manipulation, disappointment, and imbalance. In contrast, a woman who regulates her own emotional state does not hand over control of her happiness to anyone else. This self-possession is felt intuitively by those around her. Men, in particular, sense the difference between someone whose stability depends on them and someone whose stability is inherent. The latter evokes respect and admiration, while the former often triggers subtle frustration or imbalance. Emotional independence is thus both a shield and a magnet. It protects while it attracts. Another essential aspect of emotional independence is the ability to hold space for others without being consumed by them. A woman can care, empathize, and engage deeply, but she does not lose herself in the process. She understands that intimacy is not the dissolution of self, but the mutual sharing of whole selves. This creates a sense of safety and trust in relationships. Men are instinctively drawn to this because it allows for authentic connection without pressure, without neediness, and without codependency. Emotional independence signals that a woman is available to give freely, not from lack but from abundance. Emotional independence also fosters resilience. Life is unpredictable, and relationships inevitably encounter challenges, misunderstandings, and disappointments. A woman who has cultivated her own inner stability does not crumble under external pressures. She can navigate conflict, disappointment, or emotional turbulence with grace and poise. This resilience is attractive because it demonstrates not only strength, but also the ability to sustain meaningful connection. Men recognize that such a woman is capable of facing life's uncertainties without losing herself or her sense of value. Emotional independence, therefore, is both protective and generative. It safeguards the self while cultivating enduring attraction. Furthermore, emotional independence cultivates clarity in communication. When a woman does not rely on emotional dependency to signal love or attention, she can communicate her needs, desires, and boundaries with precision and calm. Her words are not colored by desperation, insecurity, or manipulation, but by authenticity and alignment with her values. Men are drawn to this clarity because it eliminates games, confusion, and unnecessary tension. Emotional independence allows a woman to engage with honesty and authenticity, creating connection that is real rather than performative. Finally, emotional independence enhances the magnetism of presence. A woman who is grounded in her own emotional state brings a steady, centered energy into any interaction. She does not chase, plead, or adjust herself to gain attention. Instead, her calm confidence and emotional self possession create a gravitational pull that attracts attention naturally. Men notice this not as an effort, but as an intrinsic quality of being fully alive and fully present. Emotional independence is not a strategy. It is a way of inhabiting the self with dignity, awareness, and power. Clarity of desire is a subtle but powerful force in the dynamics of human connection. Many people drift through life and relationships with hazy intentions, uncertain of what they truly want, and this lack of clarity manifests as confusion, miscommunication, and misalignment. A woman who knows what she wants, who understands her own heart and mind with precision, moves through life with an effortless authority that is magnetic. Clarity of desire is not about rigidity or obsession, it is about conscious alignment between one's inner truth and outer action, a harmony that communicates power without words. When a woman embodies clarity of desire, she becomes decisive in her choices and intentional in her interactions. She does not linger in ambiguity or allow herself to be swayed by external pressures or fleeting emotions. She recognizes the difference between longing, curiosity, and alignment, and she acts from a place of inner certainty. This decisiveness is attractive because it signals confidence and self-possession. Men are drawn not merely to the content of her desires, but to the unmistakable energy of someone who moves through life with clarity and focus. Clarity of desire transforms ordinary interactions into purposeful encounters, shifting the energy of connection from uncertainty to respect. Clarity of desire begins with self-awareness. It requires a deep understanding of one's values, priorities, and emotional truths. A woman must examine her patterns, discern her authentic needs from conditioned expectations, and confront any illusions that cloud judgment. This inner work is not passive, it is active, deliberate, and often uncomfortable. Yet in this discomfort lies power, for the woman who does the work gains a rare quality. She knows herself, and in knowing herself, she communicates her worth without words. Men respond to this knowledge instinctively because it signals strength, authenticity, and reliability. Furthermore, clarity of desire streamlines energy and attention. A woman who is uncertain about her intentions often disperses her energy in multiple directions, creating confusion and mixed signals. In contrast, a woman with clarity of desire directs her focus purposefully. Her interactions are intentional, her choices aligned, and her presence grounded in her own center. This alignment creates a natural magnetism. Men sense that there is no need to decode or guess, that her intentions are clear and her engagement sincere. Clarity of desire is a form of communication that precedes words, an energy that signals value and consistency. Clarity also fosters courage. It requires the willingness to make choices, to express one's wants, and to risk rejection in the pursuit of alignment. A woman who knows what she desires is unafraid to speak her truth, to set boundaries, and to walk away from situations that do not serve her highest good. This courage is magnetic because it demonstrates self-respect and integrity. Men notice that her strength is rooted not in force or manipulation, but in the authenticity of her choices. Clarity of desire communicates that she is a partner of substance, someone who engages fully yet does not compromise herself for temporary approval or comfort. Additionally, clarity of desire cultivates discernment. When a woman knows what she seeks, she is able to recognize alignment and misalignment in others. She perceives the subtle cues of energy, intention, and character, and she navigates relationships with intention rather than impulse. Men are drawn to this discernment because it signals intelligence, self-possession, and maturity. It creates a sense of trust, for they understand that her actions are guided by authenticity rather than confusion or insecurity. Clarity of desire transforms relationships from negotiations of uncertainty into collaborations of mutual understanding. Clarity also brings freedom from drama and emotional turbulence. A woman who knows what she desires does not allow herself to be manipulated by doubt, guilt, or external expectations. She moves with an energy of certainty, unburdened by the anxieties that often accompany unclear intentions. This freedom is compelling because it creates space for genuine connection. Men sense the difference between a woman who is reactive, tentative, or influenced by need, and one whose desires are deliberate, grounded, and self-aware. Clarity of desire is a stabilizing force that elevates the quality of interaction and fosters deep respect. Finally, clarity of desire amplifies presence. When a woman is aligned with her inner truth, her energy is coherent, her communication is authentic, and her actions resonate with intention. This alignment creates a subtle, powerful magnetism that draws others without effort. Men respond to this clarity instinctively because it signals integrity, confidence, and emotional intelligence. Clarity of desire is not merely a decision or preference, it is a way of inhabiting oneself with conscious awareness, expressing value without compulsion, and engaging in life with deliberate purpose. Grace in rejection is a subtle, profound strength that is often overlooked in human relationships. Many people fear rejection, equating it with failure, loss of worth, or inadequacy. They allow it to dominate their thoughts, influence their behavior, and distort their sense of self. Yet, the woman who embodies grace in rejection understands that it is not a measure of her value, but a reflection of alignment, timing, and circumstance. She responds to rejection not with bitterness, resentment, or self-doubt, but with calm composure and quiet dignity, transforming what could be a moment of diminishment into a demonstration of her inner power. Grace in rejection begins with self-possession. A woman who is grounded in her own identity does not allow external opinions to dictate her sense of worth. She recognizes that the perception or decision of another does not define her essence. When faced with rejection, she remains centered, acknowledging the moment without internalizing it as a failure. This self-possession communicates a rare strength, an invisible force that others sense immediately. Men, in particular, are drawn to this because it signals confidence and stability, qualities that are inherently attractive and deeply reassuring. Furthermore, grace in rejection reflects emotional maturity. It requires the ability to feel, process, and release disappointment without allowing it to fester into judgment or resentment. A woman who can experience the natural pang of rejection, honor it, and then move forward without carrying bitterness demonstrates an emotional intelligence that is magnetic. She does not react impulsively, lash out, or seek revenge. Instead, she observes, understands, and adapts. This maturity communicates a depth of character that is far more compelling than temporary charm or surface-level allure. Grace in rejection also signals discernment. A woman who handles rejection with poise recognizes that every no is not a reflection of inadequacy but an alignment check. She understands that not every path, relationship, or opportunity is meant for her, and she navigates life with awareness rather than insistence. This discernment allows her to preserve her energy for situations and people that resonate with her values and purpose. Men notice this because it signals someone who is selective yet open, strong yet adaptable, aware of her own needs without demanding constant validation. Grace in rejection becomes a mirror, reflecting her capacity to honor herself and others simultaneously. Moreover, grace in rejection transforms the dynamics of interaction. When a woman reacts with composure rather than defensiveness, tension is diffused, respect is maintained, and relationships, whether fleeting or lasting, retain their integrity. Her response becomes an unspoken message of confidence and clarity that she is unshaken, centered, and unconcerned with coercion or manipulation. Men sense this immediately, recognizing that her energy is stable, her intentions are clear, and her value is inherent rather than contingent on acceptance or approval. Grace in rejection turns a potentially painful moment into a demonstration of resilience, poise, and understated authority. Grace in rejection also cultivates inner freedom. A woman who does not internalize rejection as failure frees herself from the chains of expectation, fear, and societal pressure. She learns to move through life without carrying the weight of perceived inadequacy or the need for constant reassurance. This freedom is deeply attractive because it signals a self-sufficiency that is magnetic and reassuring. Men are drawn not to dependence or anxiety, but to the calm certainty of someone whose emotional state is anchored in self-awareness rather than external validation. Grace in rejection creates a space where interaction can be authentic, unhindered by fear or insecurity. Furthermore, grace in rejection enhances empathy and understanding. When a woman faces rejection with openness rather than resistance, she can observe the other's perspective without judgment. She can recognize that rejection is often a reflection of the other person's readiness, limitations, or misalignment, rather than a measure of her own value. This perspective allows her to move through disappointment with clarity, compassion, and insight. Men, sensing this capacity for understanding, respond with respect and a deeper appreciation for her character. Grace in rejection becomes a quiet form of leadership, demonstrating emotional intelligence and the ability to navigate life's challenges with integrity. Grace in rejection also preserves dignity. In moments when others may overact, plead, or argue. The woman who embodies grace does not seek to reclaim what is not aligned with her. She does not compromise her principles, bend her values, or compromise her presence to gain acceptance. This preservation of dignity communicates a rare form of power, the ability to maintain composure, self-respect, and authenticity regardless of external circumstances. Men are instinctively drawn to this because it signals strength, resilience, and an unshakable foundation of self-worth. Finally, grace in rejection becomes a catalyst for growth. Each rejection, approached with composure and awareness, becomes an opportunity for reflection, refinement, and deeper understanding of one's desires and alignment. A woman who embraces this perspective learns to navigate relationships, challenges, and opportunities with discernment, clarity, and self-respect. Her response to rejection is not reactionary, it is intentional, measured, and reflective of an inner strength that commands respect. Consistency over drama is a principle that carries profound weight in relationships, interactions, and personal growth. In a world where fleeting excitement and sensationalism often capture attention, the quiet power of steady, deliberate action is frequently underestimated. Many confuse drama with passion, chaos with intensity, and constant fluctuation with engagement. Yet true influence, magnetism, and respect emerge not from turbulence, but from the grounded rhythm of consistency. A woman who embodies consistency over drama demonstrates an inner strength that is subtle yet unmistakable, creating stability, trust, and enduring attraction. Consistency begins with self-awareness and alignment. A woman who knows her values, priorities, and intentions is able to navigate life without being swept away by external fluctuations or emotional impulses. She acts with purpose, communicates with clarity, and responds with integrity, regardless of circumstances. This consistency is magnetic because it signals reliability, maturity, and composure. Men are drawn to this not merely because it eases interaction, but because it communicates a rare quality, a sense of balance and steadiness that contrasts sharply with the volatility of a world often driven by emotional extremes. Drama, in contrast, often arises from insecurity, fear, or a need for attention. It is loud, reactive, and exhausting. It demands energy from others to maintain engagement, often creating imbalance and tension. A woman who rejects drama chooses instead to anchor herself in consistency. She does not overreact, seek validation, or manipulate circumstances to evoke heightened emotion. Instead, she cultivates presence, clarity, and intentionality, demonstrating that her energy is not a commodity to be negotiated, but a resource to be stewarded. Consistency over drama transforms interactions from volatile and unpredictable exchanges into grounded, meaningful connection. Consistency also fosters trust. When a woman's words, actions, and energy align over time, others learn to rely on her presence and character. Trust is cultivated not in a single gesture, nor in a burst of attention, but in the rhythm of repeated, intentional behavior. Men instinctively notice this because it communicates predictability without rigidity, reliability without restriction, and authenticity without performance. A woman who prioritizes consistency demonstrates that she is anchored in herself and her values, creating a safe space for interaction, connection, and deeper emotional resonance. Moreover, consistency over drama is a reflection of inner discipline. It requires the ability to regulate one's own energy, emotions, and responses. A woman who cultivates this discipline does not allow fleeting feelings of anger, jealousy, or frustration to dictate behavior. She observes, reflects, and responds with measured intention. This emotional regulation signals not only self-mastery, but also respect for others, as interactions are guided by thoughtfulness rather than impulse. Men respond to this energy instinctively because it communicates stability, reliability, and strength, a stark contrast to the instability often associated with drama. Consistency also enhances presence. When a woman is consistent in her energy, attention, and engagement, she becomes a stable anchor in the lives of those around her. Her presence is reassuring, grounding, and magnetic, creating a sense of comfort and admiration. Men are drawn to this because it signals an inner cohesion that cannot be fabricated. Consistency amplifies authenticity. It demonstrates that a woman's value does not fluctuate based on external circumstances or the whims of others. Her steadiness becomes a silent yet powerful form of communication, establishing a foundation upon which respect, trust, and attraction naturally grow. Another dimension of consistency over drama is its ability to cultivate discernment. A woman who prioritizes steady, thoughtful action over reactive displays can better observe patterns, motives, and character in those around her. She is not distracted by emotional theatrics or manipulative displays. Instead, she sees clearly, chooses wisely, and navigates relationships with intention. Men recognize this clarity because it signals wisdom, maturity, and self-possession. The ability to remain anchored while others fluctuate demonstrates a form of authority that commands attention and respect. Consistency over drama also minimizes energy depletion. Drama is exhausting not only for the person caught in it, but for everyone around them. A woman who maintains steady energy, deliberate action, and calm presence conserves her vitality while elevating the quality of her interactions. Men sense this energy shift because it creates space for authentic engagement, free from tension, games, or unnecessary conflict. The absence of drama is not emptiness, it is intentional, deliberate, and aligned with purpose. Consistency over drama becomes a form of influence, showing that strength is quiet, enduring, and principled rather than loud, chaotic, or performative. Finally, consistency over drama cultivates long-term respect and attraction. While drama may evoke immediate attention or temporary excitement, it rarely sustains admiration or deep connection. Consistency, on the other hand, communicates reliability, integrity, and alignment over time. A woman who embodies this principle demonstrates that her worth is inherent, her energy is intentional, and her presence is steady. Men respond to this subtle power instinctively because it reflects emotional intelligence, strength of character, and a rare capacity for self-mastery